We'll continue the next method. That is very important method, which is nothing but root locus. Previously, the route stability criteria speaks about the absolute stability of the system. It gives whether the system is stable or unstable. Okay. It won't speak about the location of poles. Okay. It gives roughly they may be on right half of the S-plane or they may be on left half of the S-plane. Simply, it gives the information about the absolute stability. Absolute stability means the system is stable or unstable. Simply that information it gives without calculating or without drawing anything. Simply formation of growth table, number of sign changes, not even the values, only the sign changes. By observing the sign changes, we can say whether the system is stable or unstable, or total number of poles lying on right half of the S-plane. Okay, just a minute. Okay, now the next method is root locus. So Ivan, Ivan, so developed this method. It gives the complete information about the location of closed loop poles, and also we can design, we can fix the gain of the open loop system. So if the gain of the open loop system is changed, automatically the poles, location of poles changing either from right to left or left to right. Okay. So it is changing the location of poles just by changing the value of gain. Now, this is the method to fix the range of the pole, and it gives the absolute stability information about the absolute stability as well as relative stability. So if we want to compare two systems, two stable systems, which one is more stable when compared to others? Okay, everything. So this is also a powerful tool in control system design. So to fix the gain values. Okay, now let us start this one. So it is well known that the transient response of feedback system is closely related to the location of closed loop poles. So this already we have seen the response transient response and the total response if I observe. So it is mainly depends upon the location of poles. If the location of poles are on something right half of the S-plane, system is unstable. On the imaginary axis, marginally stable, the system is oscillatory. If they lie on left half of the S-plane, the system is stable. So it is well known that the transient response of the feedback system is closely related to the closed loop poles. Now, so if we observe this example, when the open loop gain, so G of S is forward path transfer function, G of S forward path transfer function, that is 5 into Ka by S into S plus 34.5. Okay, here Ka is nothing but gain value. From the designer viewpoint, for some system, simply the gain adjustment moves the closed loop poles to the desired location. So we can observe the same thing using this example. Now, if we draw a plot, when Ka is equal to, if we take Ka is equal to 34 13.5. So you will get one response. If Ka value increase it to 200, you will get one more response. If Ka value is increase it to 1500, you will get one more response. So if we observe for a unit step input, okay. So here, the what is Ka? Ka is nothing but simply open loop gain of the system with open loop gain, Ka value. So if we observe for Ka is equal to 13.5, it is overdamped system. So zeta value, it is very high and very slowly it reaches without any oscillations, it slowly reaches to final value. So it is an overdamped system if we observe. So if we increase Ka value to 200, 1500, so very high value, last value Ka value. So if we observe, the response is a damped oscillatory response. Their overshoots are very high. In that case, if we measure, zeta value is 0.2, so it is very high value, zeta value, and it is oscillations are more, and it takes less time to settle when compared to the system. Here, the second system response is very less. Okay, time required to settle is very less, but overshoots are very high. Now again, if we adjust one more K value such that it has to reach the settling time with a less settling time, that means a faster system. Okay, overshoots must be less. Just if we adjust the Ka value to 200, so if we observe this this blue color response without any oscillations, simply a overshoot is there, only one overshoot, and a small gradually again it comes back to normal point, and it is settled within very less time. Okay, so that mainly the response can be adjusted by adjusting the system parameter. System parameter is one of this is gain value by adjusting the open loop gain of the system. Is it clear? So based on this information, that means these are the practical observations, Ivan developed a method that is nothing but a root locus method. So therefore, it is important to determine how the roots of the characteristic equation moves around the spline as we change the open loop gain. As if gain value increases from 0 to infinity value, the location of poles, how they are moving. So whether they are moving towards right side or whether they are moving towards left side. Okay, like that we can study the behavior of the roots. Okay, so that is mainly main concept for root locus. Definition for root locus, it is the name itself indicates the locus, the root locus is the path of the roots of the characteristic equation traced out in an S-plane as the system parameter varies from 0 to infinity. So here, if K value is changing from 0 to infinity, the roots, the locus of roots, initially if we take for one K value, we will get one set of roots. Okay. So if we take one more K value, again it is, you will get one more different roots. So like that, if we go on increasing 0 to infinity value, the roots, the locus of roots, okay, you will get. So that is nothing but a root locus. The path of the roots of characteristic equation traced out in S-plane is called as root locus. Okay, is it clear? So just here it is. Well, when K is equal to some 0 value, for example, if we take, so you will get one set of poles. When K is equal to some 100, you may get one more set of values. When K is equal to 1000, you may get one more set of roots. That means as K value increases from K is equal to 0 to k is equal to 1000, the roots are moving in this direction. So that means up to 100, the system is stable. At k is equal to 100 value, the system is marginally stable. If k is above 100, the system becomes unstable. So everything we get the information from this root locus. And if we want to design a system, an underdamped system, okay, for a particular gain or for a particular value, okay. So if we want to get a response like this, that means an underdamped system with some oscillations, okay, our response must be in this function. So in that case, we can set a particular k value. We can design a system such that the response is in this fashion using root locus. Okay. So the root locus analysis aims to investigate the closed loop stability and the system controller design through open loop transfer function with variation of certain system parameters, commonly the open loop gain. Just by varying that, we can design data any type of control system. This is the concept or conditions for root locus. So there are two important conditions. You want to develop two important conditions. So root locus means locus of roots which satisfies characteristic equation. For example, our characteristic equation is s square plus, say s plus 1 is equal to 0. This is our characteristics equation. We have to, so here you will get some k value. Okay, s square plus s plus k is equal to 0. We have to, as k tends to 0 to infinity, we have to find out the locus of roots. Okay, when k is equal to 0, you may get one set of roots. When k is equal to some unit value, or it may be 10 value, or it may be 100 value. Okay, the roots may move in this direction or in this direction. So this is nothing but a root locus. If we want to find out all these roots, it is highly difficult to find out all these roots. Okay. So for example, if we take one root, if this root satisfies, root means what? It is having some real value and imaginary value. So some sigma and j omega complex root if it is. Okay. So if this root satisfies this equation, that implies that root is present on root locus. If it is not satisfying, that implies the root is not on root locus. Is it clear? అర్థమవుతుందమ్మా? S plane లో ఉన్న పాయింట్స్ అన్ని తీసుకోండి. అన్ని తీసుకుని అందులో ఒక్కొక్క పాయింట్ క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్ ఈక్వేషన్ లో సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేస్తే అది సాటిస్ఫై అయింది అనుకోండి, ఆ పర్టికులర్ రూట్ లోకస్ మీద ఆ పాయింట్ ఉంది. ఓకే, అలాగే సెకండ్ పాయింట్ సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకోండి. ఇది సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటే ఆటోమేటిక్గా ఇది కనుక ఈక్వేషన్ సాటిస్ఫై అయితే అది కూడా రూట్ లోకస్ మీద ఉంది. ఒకవేళ ఈ పాయింట్ తీసుకుంటే సెలెక్ట్ అది సాటిస్ఫై అవ్వదు అంటే ఇది పాయింట్ రూట్ లోకస్ మీద లేదు. సో ఇలా మనం టోటల్ ఇన్ఫినిటీ పాయింట్స్ వస్తాయి. ఇన్ఫినిటీ పాయింట్స్ ని వెరిఫై చేసుకుంటే మనకి కంప్లీట్ రూట్ లోకస్ వస్తుంది. ఓకే, సో అది ప్రొసీజర్ కష్టం. దానికి ఇవాన్ సైంటిస్ట్ ఇవాన్ డెవలప్డ్ ఎ మెథడ్. So if any, there are two important conditions that we need to know about the root locus with characteristic equation. In general, the characteristic equation is 1 plus g of s into h of s. So this is our closed loop transfer function, g by 1 plus g of s into h of s. The denominator polynomial of a transfer function is nothing but, closed loop transfer function is nothing but characteristic equation. This is our characteristic equation. So using this characteristic equation, G of s into h of s can be written as gh is equal to -1. Okay, as s is a complex number. S is a complex number. If we take the magnitude value and phase angle value, okay, magnitude of this, which is nothing but unit value, magnitude of g of s into h of s, it is unit value. Okay, it is same for all positive as well as negative feedback. So if we observe, this condition is satisfied by all the points on the S-plane. Condition అన్ని points కి satisfy అవుతుంది. ఎందుకు? G of s is known. G of s, h of s, magnitude of G of s, h of s is equal to unit value. So magnitude of G of s is known value something x. So h, if we adjust h to 1 by x, so that is equals to unit value. So that implies all the points present in this S-plane satisfies magnitude criteria. Okay. Now, coming to one more criteria, which is nothing but phase angle. Phase angle criteria means magnitude G of s, h of s is equal to unit, whereas phase angle of G of s, h of s, that is an odd multiple of, so this is plus or minus 180 degrees. So phase angle, if we calculate tan inverse of imaginary value by real value. So if we assume, so real value in this case, imaginary value is 0. So is 0 value. So phase angle is 0. That is satisfied by these values. The phase angle is an odd multiple 2q plus 1, odd multiple of 180. So only if the points satisfies, if this condition is satisfied, if s is equal to something zeta 1 plus j omega 1, if this point satisfies phase angle criteria, that implies that root is present on root locus. If any of the point in the S-plane satisfies phase angle criteria, because the magnitude criteria is satisfied by all the points. But if any of the criteria, if any of the points satisfies the phase angle criteria, then that root is present on root locus. So these are the two conditions derived by Ivan to develop root locus. So every point on the root locus, this is conclusion summary. Every point on the root locus with a necessarily satisfies the magnitude criteria as well as angle criteria. So every point on the root locus satisfies all these two criteria, magnitude criteria as well as phase angle criteria. The purpose of angle criteria is to calculate whether the given point lies on the root locus or not. So based on the magnitude criteria, we can say that whether the point is lying on root locus or not. Then what is the need of magnitude criteria? The purpose of magnitude criteria is to calculate the system gain at any point which is on the root locus. So that means to find out the k value, okay, magnitude, that is system gain means k value. So if we want to find out, so that means, so once we get the root locus, that means all these points we have already selected, these points satisfies the magnitude criteria, we have obtained root locus plot. Okay, so if we want to find out gain at a particular point using magnitude criteria, we can find out gain at a particular. So magnitude criteria means G of s into h of s is equal to 1. Magnitude value of G of s into h of s is equal to unit value. So if it satisfies that one, so that particular point we can find out the system gain. So here system gain may be K1, here the K may be K2, here may be K may be some K3. So if we want to find out the magnitude at a desired location, we can find out magnitude system gain using magnitude criteria. Is it clear? Now our aim is to draw the root locus. Okay, for that a method is developed. It is very highly difficult to find out all the points which satisfies magnitude criteria and phase angle criteria. So it is highly difficult. If the system is of higher order, for example, a fourth order system, fifth order system, so it is highly difficult to find out all the roots. First condition, direct method, finding the roots, it is highly difficult. The second method, magnitude criteria and phase angle criteria, it is also very difficult to find out. So for that, to draw the root locus, Yvonne developed a method, step-by-step procedure. If we follow that step-by-step procedure, we can draw root locus for any complex system. Very, very, very important method. Rules for constructing root locus. No need to write all these rules and everything. Everything is available in textbook. Okay. Try to understand how to draw the root locus. The method to construct the root locus. Okay. Try to understand this one. So first one, concept. What is the need of root locus? Second one, so conditions for root locus. Third one, construction of root locus. Now I'm constructing the root locus. Based on the experience or based on the figures obtained, so we can say the root locus is symmetrical about real axis. The symmetrical about real axis means this is our root locus. Okay, real axis, this is imaginary axis j omega, real axis. Root locus is always symmetrical about real axis. This is real axis. It is symmetrical means, for example, if we draw a root locus plot on upper half of the S-plane, so you will get the same plot on the lower half of the this real axis. Symmetrical above real axis. So a horizontal line, if you get, so again you will get one more horizontal line on the other side. So if it is, if you obtain something in this fashion, that means half part, it is something curved like this. The other half is also the same fashion. Okay. So for example, one root locus plot, if we observe the other one, it is always symmetrical about real axis. That we have to observe. We have to remember that one. So no need to draw again. If we draw half of this upper half of the root locus directly, we can draw the lower half because it is symmetrical about real axis. Okay, that we have to remember. Again, one more thing. The root locus originates at poles of g of s, h of s. Okay, for k is equal to 0 and terminates at zeros. So originates at poles and terminates at zeros. That means indicates that. So if we observe the root locus, okay, the root locus always starts at open loop poles. Starting point k is equal to 0. So ending point k is equal to infinity. So open loop poles means open loop g of s into h of s if we observe. Okay, the given function, the open loop system, if we take a transfer function 1 by s plus a, s plus b, s plus c, s plus d. In this case, zeros are B and D poles are, sorry, minus B minus D poles are minus A and minus C. These are the poles. These two are zeros. Okay, these two are poles for a given transfer function. Okay, when K is equal to open loop gain, when K is equal to 0, okay, open loop gain as gain tends to, otherwise we can take something as gain tends to 0, starting at 0 and finally it ends at infinity. Okay, the root locus always originate open loop poles. That means it starts from poles. That means minus A and minus C. That means at K is equal to 0, if we find out the open loop poles are minus A and minus C. That means the root locus always starts at open loop poles and finally ends at open loop zeros. So finally ending at minus D and minus D. So I'll show clearly. I'll draw again. So this is minus A minus B minus C minus D. Okay, these are the poles and zeros. Zeros are indicated by zeros and poles are indicated by cross. Now the root locus always starts at open loop poles. That means at K is equal to 0, the root locus starts at this point and again one more at this point. Finally ends at open loop zeros. That means in between these two, in between these two. At K is equal to infinity. So here it is also K is equal to infinity. So K equal to 0 and K equal to infinity. As we increase K value from 0 to infinity, the roots, number of roots, infinity number of roots. Okay, if we find out at K is equal to 1, K is equal to 2, K is equal to 3, K is equal to 4, and so on. So the roots move towards this 0. Okay, this root gradually moves towards this 0. Indicates that the root locus plot always originates from open loop poles and finally terminates at open loop zeros. That is one more rule we have to remember. Okay, so in this plot it is okay. For example, one open loop pole is here, one open loop zero is somewhere complex 0. One open loop pole is here. No, sorry, not that. Okay, maybe here, and open loop 0 maybe somewhere here. So that means the root locus plot moves in this direction. So as K is equal to 0 to infinity, it starts at open loop poles and finally ends at open loop zeros. Is it clear? So just try to remember this rule. The open loop, the open loop poles means at K is equal to, you will get at K is equal to 0, you will get open loop poles. At K is equal to infinity, always you will get open loop zeros. While drawing figure, we can observe. While drawing root locus or constructing the root locus plot, in that case, we can observe very clearly. So try to remember this rule. That is, always starts at open loop poles and finally ends at open loop zeros. Next. So we have already identified the roots of the system. Given system, open loop poles, we have already known that roots. Okay, if the roots are something here, next case, if the open loop function, if the open loop function has infinity, alpha zeros at infinity, the root locus approaches alpha asymptotically as K tends to infinity. Okay, the asymptotes are located at angles. So here we have to just try to understand this one. So for example, there are two poles in the denominator. There is no pole in the numerator. Simply our transfer function is something like this. S plus A in the denominator, S plus B in the denominator. Numerator is unit value. How many poles are there? Open loop poles. Minus A is one open loop pole. The other one is minus B is one more pole. That means the root locus always starts at open loop poles. This is minus B. This is minus A. So it's starting point. Okay. Finally, it ends at open loop zeros. In this case, there is no zero. Okay. Numerator is not having anything except a constant value. So the root locus always, if there is no pole, no zero in the numerator, indicates that the zero is at infinity. So at infinity point, zero is present at infinity, maybe in this direction or maybe in this direction. So that means the root locus starts at open loop poles, finally ends at infinity. The root locus starts at open loop poles, finally ends at infinity along a parallel to asymptote. Asymptote means tangent at infinity. So like that, so it will travel along the asymptote. So we have to draw an asymptote for this, and parallel to this asymptote it reaches to infinity. Okay. Now here in this case the number of asymptotes we have to draw is two asymptotes, because two root locus branches starts at open loop poles and finally ends at infinity. Two poles, there is no zeros, that's why two asymptotes we have to draw. Where we have to draw that asymptotes? So ఈ asymptotes అన్నాను. asymptotes దగ్గర ఈ రూట్ లోకస్ బ్రాంచ్ ఫైనలీ ఇన్ఫినిటీ దగ్గర కలుస్తుందని చెప్తారు. ఓకే, ఎక్కడ డ్రా చేయాలి ఈ asymptote? ఎంత యాంగిల్లో డ్రా చేయాలి? ఈ పోల్ దగ్గర నుంచి కాదు, దీనికి. ఓకే, సో వాటికి ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయడానికి ఫార్ములా అంటే ఈ asymptote అనేది ఒక పర్టికులర్ యాంగిల్ మెయింటైన్ చేస్తుంది, మేబీ సమ్ 5 యాంగిల్. సో మనం డ్రా చేయాలి. నెక్స్ట్ ఇక్కడ ఒక ఇంటర్సెక్షన్ పాయింట్ గీయాలి. ఇక్కడ టూ asymptotes తీసుకోవాలంటే మనం ఇక్కడ టూ asymptotes తీసుకున్నామంటే asymptote యాంగిల్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలి. నెక్స్ట్ ఇంటర్సెక్టింగ్ పాయింట్, సో ఎక్కడి నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది ఆ asymptote, సో రియల్ యాక్సిస్ మీద అనేది ఈ పాయింట్ ఒకటి ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలి. అంటే పోల్స్ ఇన్ కేస్ టూ పోల్స్ టూ జీరోస్ ఉంటే మన asymptotes క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయగలం. ఇన్ కేస్ ఇఫ్ దెర్ ఈస్ నో zeros, only poles are present in our transfer function. So in that case we have to find out total number of asymptotes. Once we know the total number of asymptotes, in this case only two asymptotes. Once we get the two asymptotes, now we have to find out angle of asymptotes. This is called angle of asymptotes. So 180, it is given by 180 by alpha. Alpha is total number of open loop poles. So in this case 290 degrees. So plus 90 plus or minus you will get. So one is plus 90 degrees, the other one is minus 90 degrees. Two asymptotes we have to draw. Where we have to draw these asymptotes, that is called as centroids, or the intersection on real axis. So intersection of real axis. So this we have to find out. So sigma A. How to find out sigma A? So here is the formula. So algebraic sum of poles minus algebraic sum of zeros, finite zeros by alpha. So number of poles, number of zeros. We can also simply say that real part of poles minus real part of zeros. Okay. So real part of poles minus real part of zero, since alpha is nothing but real value. You will get only the real value, imaginary values, because they are symmetrical about real axis. The imaginary parts gets cancelled. Only you will get the real parts, remains the real part. Okay. So here algebraic sum of real parts of poles minus real parts of zeros by alpha, where alpha is equal to total number of poles minus total number of zeros. That means nothing but asymptotes. You will get number of asymptotes. So first point, real axis, no need to write. Okay, అన్ని కూడా టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో ఉంటాయి, మనం ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ చేసేటప్పుడు చేసుకోవచ్చు. మీరు అసైన్మెంట్ లో ఇచ్చాను కాబట్టి మీరు టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ చూసి 7 to 8 పాయింట్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఇందులో నేను 5 పాయింట్స్ డిస్కస్ చేస్తాను. ఓకే, సో అందులో 8 పాయింట్స్ దాకా ఉంటాయి, 8 to 9 పాయింట్స్. Try to mug up those 8 points. A very, very, very important question. Step-by-step procedure is needed to construct root locus. First step, root locus is symmetrical about real axis. Second step, root locus always starts at open loop poles and finally ends at open loop zeros. Third point, if there is no zeros, in that case, we have to find out the number of asymptotes. That means the root locus branch terminates or moves towards the infinity along a straight line asymptote. So our aim is to find out asymptote angle and also the intersection point on real axis, starting point of asymptote. Okay, so for that the formula is theta 180 by number of asymptotes, that is angle of asymptote made by the real axis. So here is the formula for to find out the intersect the real axis at a point. So intersection point on the real axis, that is given by sigma real parts of poles minus real parts of zeros divided by number of asymptotes. We will get the point of intersection on real axis. ఏమైనా కొంచెం క్లియర్ గా అర్థం కాకపోతే మళ్ళీ చెప్తాను నేను, ప్రాబ్లం చేసేటప్పుడు క్లియర్ గా మళ్ళీ, సో అప్పుడు అక్కడ మీకు క్లారిటీ వస్తుంది. ఇక్కడ ఎవరు డౌట్ అడిగారు మరి చూడలేదు. ఓకే, తర్వాత చూద్దాం డిస్కషన్. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ rule, the root locus include all the points on the real axis to be to the left of the odd number of poles and or finite zeros. The root locus includes all the points on the real axis to the left of the odd number of poles and or finite zeros. So here we have to observe. So these are the poles. If we observe 3 poles and 2 zeros. Okay. If our root locus is something in this fashion, or 3. Okay. For example, 2 zeros and 3 poles. In that case, always the root locus branch always starts at open loop poles and finally ends at open loop zeros. That means the root locus can travel in this direction. So this root locus can travel either in this direction or downward direction or any direction. This can be moved. Okay. So whether the root locus is present on real axis or not, simple thumb rule is, if we take a test point on the real axis, take a point on the real axis, find out the total number of poles and zeros on the left side of this. That means left side of this root locus. So if we observe in this case, total 4 points. Just I think it is not left side. Next, rule number 5. Breakaway point and breakdown point. Breakaway point and break-in points. How to calculate breakaway point and break-in point? Suppose two root locus branches are intersecting each other. So one root locus branch is starting from this pole and the other root locus branch is moving in this direction. So one root locus moves in this direction, one root locus moves in this direction. Okay, so this point is called breakaway point. The intersection point of two root locus branches are called as breakaway points. Again, if they travel to certain distance, and again if they collide or intersect each other, that is called break-in point. Here the root locus branches are entering, so here leaving from this point. Okay, this is called breakaway point and break-in. So breakaway point and break-in points can be calculated for this root locus. Once we get using this formula, we can find out breakaway points and break-in points. Okay, once we get breakaway points, the root locus branches ki evana intersection unda leda. Next, and angle of arrivals, angle of departures in case of complex poles and complex zeros present in the root locus. The branch can be started in any of these directions, 360 degrees. The branch is 360 degrees by elagena move avachchu, start avachchu. So that is called angle of departure. So root locus branch starts at this point, that is called angle of departures. And finally, the root locus branch ends at open loop zeros. So this is called angle of arrivals. Okay, this root locus branch can move to zero in any angle. So it can ilage ila kuda move avachchu kada sir. So అందుకని మనం ఏం క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయాలి? యాంగిల్ ఆఫ్ అరైవల్స్, యాంగిల్ ఆఫ్ డిపార్చర్స్. సో ఇక్కడ మనం రూట్ లోకస్ ప్లాట్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఇవన్నీ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేసి పెట్టుకుంటే 5 minutes లో డ్రా చేయొచ్చు. సో క్యాలిక్యులేషన్ కి ఒక 10 minutes టైం పడుతుంది. సో డ్రా చేయడానికి ఒక 10 minutes టైం పడుతుంది. సో ఫైనలీ వన్స్ we calculate all these things, we can draw a root locus very easily. First step, finding the total number of roots and poles and zeros for the given transfer function. Second step, finding the total number of asymptotes. Okay, so asymptotes. Next, angle of asymptotes, intersection point of asymptotes. Intersection point of asymptotes, sometimes it is called as centroid. Calculating the centroid. Okay, next, the root locus on real axis. Just by taking the test point, we can find out whether the test point is present on root locus or not. So hardly it may take 2 to 3 minutes to find out all these things. Next one, breaking points. So intersection points of root locus is called breaking points. Again, next, angle of arrivals, angle of departures, and intersection point of root locus with imaginary axis that we have to calculate. So it may take hardly 10 minutes to calculate angle of departures, angle of arrivals, and intersection point of root locus branches, and whether the root locus is crossing imaginary axis or not. What is the need of calculating that? So up to that point, the system is stable. Beyond that point, the system becomes unstable. Okay, for that, whether the root locus branch is crossing imaginary axis or not. Okay, for any value of k. So that we have to calculate. Hardly it may take maximum 10 minutes to calculate all these things. Once we calculate all these things, next step, directly plotting the root locus. Once you get root locus, we can speak about the stability, whether the system is stable or unstable for what value of k. Okay, so sketch the root locus. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, for the next class, try to bring a graph sheet. Graph sheet ఒకటి మెయింటైన్ చేయండి. ఒక ప్రాబ్లం తీసుకొని ప్రతిదీ స్టెప్ బై స్టెప్ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేస్తాను